everyone. Welcome to the Cynthia Linux Show. I am your host, Cynthia Linux. Here again to remind you that this is the best season of your life. That's right. Right now, this moment, it is incumbent upon us to live our lives intentionally. You know why? Because all the things that you desire, all the things that you wish for, all the things that you hope for, all the things that you want, forget the needs. Your needs are met. All the things that you want, you are deserving of it. But I find that most people cannot even fathom the truth, the reality that they are deserving. Whatever it is that you want in life, and that we want things, that you desire things. Some people that you want to travel, you want a job where you can get up and be happy to go to every day. You want to have a family that is in harmony with each other and can deal with life as it comes along. You want to have a social circle that you enjoy, friends that you like, people that you love. You want to live in harmony with the people, coexist with the people around you, be it your neighbors, your colleagues, your relatives and family, your spouse, your kids. You want all those things. You want the ability to take your, now that it's summer, at least here in the US, you want the ability to take your children on vacation wherever you choose to go. You want to make sure, or you desire to have the resources to be able to do the things you want. You want to live in peace. You want joy. And you want to be able to provide for the things that you want. We all want that. We want to have a life that we enjoy. We like different things. And as we allow ourselves to be self-governed, to live a life where we can really enjoy as we choose to. As I said, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you don't infringe on the freedom of another. So when you come into this conscious awareness, and when you come to acknowledge and accept that you are deserving, you deserve the things that you want to do. Sometimes, we are shy to even desire it or think of it, just because sometimes it's bigger than our mind can contain. We don't allow our minds to go beyond the norm, and we stay here in a place of average. But you're not average. You are not average, my friend. You are not average. If you can think it, you can have it. Another reason also that people hesitate and they hesitate to move forward is because they're living a life of conflict. People have said, the life that I want to live, the person I truly am, is not supported by the belief system that I have, that I hold. And when I say belief system, I'm talking about religious belief system, because it is the greatest hindrance in most people's lives. And the reason that we are going through this journey of self-discovery, that's because most people are living an identity based on their belief system. That's why there is fear, there is doubt, there is worry, hesitant, procrastination. There's all of that. Why? Because you want to comply with the belief system that you've been indoctrinated, yet your flesh, your body, your humanity wants to live a certain way. And there's a conflict. Oh, the things that I want to do, I don't do, and that which I don't want to do is which. You remember Paul? You remember a guy named Paul? He was conflicted because limiting belief system, religious indoctrination, tells us You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do, just imagine going through life thinking your heart is wicked and deceitful. How can you trust your intuition if you think your heart is deceitful? It's like you can't trust someone that you believe will betray you. So if you believe your heart is deceitful, that means you think your heart will betray you. Well, how can you trust it? Yet that's the doctrine that we receive. And I know because I was there. I had to go and unlearn a whole bunch of stuff. I had to unlearn all that, wash my mind from that false teaching and discover my truth, the truth about me. How can you go through life thinking, lean not unto your own understanding? Lean not unto your own understanding. So whose understanding am I going to lean on? You have to learn it for yourself. No one can show you or get you there. All I am telling you, my friend, is that your understanding has worth. That is where your truth is. And the moment you discover that, you will realize that your heart is faithful to you. Your intuition, your knowing. That's why, comes a point where we know things. Because, as opposed to believe things, when you believe something, it's make believe. It's like make believe. It's not knowing. Totally different. And again, believe is someone else's claim, someone else's opinion. A lot of the things that we govern our lives by has to do with a claim. People make these claims, and then they teach us these claims. You have to discover the truth for yourself. Because, and again, if you're happy where you are and you are following your doctrine, if you're happy, then that's where you stay. But for those of you that are on this hamster wheel that's going around and around and around and around and around and around and can't seem to make headway, to get ahead, to get to know who you are, to get to that place where you don't really care what people think or say, or you're not afraid of living, because that's the whole thing. People, and I find that it's becoming so prevalent in our world today, how people are really just busting out of things. But unfortunately, people are being discovered. And when I say people, I mean like leaders, religious leaders, or people in high positions. They're being discovered, found out. People are they're being busted. Things. They're preaching certain way, and their lives is totally opposite to the things that they promote. And it doesn't have to be that way. Life is not a matter of good or bad, right or wrong. The only thing that you need to be aware of, whatever you do, think, or say, as long as it does not infringe on the freedom or the happiness or the life of someone else, you can do whatever it is you want. That's your life. But you have to understand the freedom that your truth allows. See, I don't, and I used to, years ago when I was governed by religious doctrine, I remember my husband going to Goody Goody, the liquor store, to get a bottle of wine. And that's before I don't remember if we were married or not. Anyway, I think we were already married, but he would, and I would not get out of the car. I would stay in the car because I had this thing about going into a liquor store. And that was for a long time. I was a hypocrite because, at church, I was one way, and then, you know, here I am. Well, I mean, of course, I couldn't tell him not to go to the liquor store. I mean, that just would not happen. But I would just stay because I was so pious. I would stay in the car. I would not set foot into the liquor store. No, I just walk in. I just walk in and I get my, bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon and I enjoy it. Why? Because my truth has come to me, has had a place to land to set me free from that limiting belief system, from those thoughts telling me that my heart is deceitful and wicked. Why would someone come up with that? When you read the origins of the doctrine, this religious dogma that's been imposed upon us, when you do your search and you discover that it was created by man, natural man like you and I, to control and to control the social structure. And it's been so effective even until now. It's been so effective. And the more I think about it, lately I've been seeing on social media, people talking about, particularly those of, people that have had ancestry history of slavery, and how the Bible condones that and tells you to obey your master and work for your master as unto the Lord, and even if the master is harsh with you, to suck it up. Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine that. And I don't want to hear anything about interpretation and all that. That's what it says. You can look it up. There are like 4 or 5 places in the Bible, in the New Testament, where it tells you to suck it up and to be content being a slave and work for the master. What kind of thinking, what kind of training, where does that come from? You have got to check it out. Where does that come from? And why is it only certain race? When you think of that, it really makes you passionately dig in, and you want to know who has come up with all these things. We are so human, and we are told to deny our flesh. And we know that a lot of stuff that we want to do is so fleshly. It is carnal. We are human beings. We are carnal beings. And that's why you find so many people living a double life, a secret life. Why? Because our flesh wants certain things. When I go out and when I, go to a party or on a ship and whatever, I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna have me a good time. And I'm at the point now where, there's no shame, there's no guilt, there's no judgment, none of that. I don't care what anyone says or does. I have me a good time, and we just have a good time. That's my idea of a good time. We sit, we have a drink, we talk with friends, we crack jokes. That is my idea of a good time. We travel, we go places, we talk to people. It doesn't matter what you believe, where you're from, what your doctrine is. It doesn't matter. It's just a freedom that allows you to live. And if your religious belief does not support what you want, then it is incumbent upon you now to pay attention to that, because that's the only way you will come into this place of freedom. And when I say freedom, it's not just freedom to just be, but it's freedom of thought. Your mind will not be limited by structure, the box. I belong to different networking groups, and I like them all. They all have their own uniqueness and so forth. But I'm a person that's very unique, very original, and I like things that not even out of the box. Get rid of the box. Get rid of the damn box. I don't want anything boxy around me. And And I'm taking a look at this group that I find it fascinating. I call it the 21st century networking dynamics. And that's because this person has come up with these ideas of almost bridging networking with a social flavor. And to me, that is so fascinating because it takes you out of the norm. It takes you out of the routine. It blends, you make friends and your business will grow. So you come into a place where you are socializing with people of like mind, people that want to grow their business, but at the same time, they are allowing themselves the opportunity to socialize without restraints, without, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. No, let's get together, let's have a glass of wine, champagne, whatever, and sometimes if you have some music, let's just get it going and let's just have a good bacchanal, which means like a, thing. I like things that are different, things that are original. And you too, that's why you are so unique. Your mind is uniquely yours. Get away from, I'm telling you, look, people say, you only live once. That is not true. You only have one life, but you live every day. You live every day, not just once. So they say, oh yeah, have a good time, you only live once. No, 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 amigo. You live every day. You only have one life. And let me tell you, your time here is limited. If you don't get it here, that's it. Your time here is limited. You will have more time away from this opportunity, this segment, this time that's been allotted to you. You will have, this is a limited time. And if you don't live it to the fullest, if you don't enjoy it, that's it. Once you're gone, that's it. Now, you may have, if you're thinking in terms of eternal life and all that, I'll tell you something right now. Yeah, you'll be dead forever. You'll be dead forever. But you live every day. You only have one life, and it's a life you have now. To live every day, every moment. So you need to know how to do that successfully so that you can be at peace, be able to coexist with the people around you so that you can be happy, really happy, having the things you want, enjoying the things around you, the people around you, getting off that hamster wheel of going in and out, because once you learn the truth of you, once you learn that you are deserving of a good life. Some people think that we are here for, to go through pain and tests and trials and things of that. That is a belief system, and let me tell you how this works. What you acknowledge is what you create, is the reality that you create. If you're thinking, oh, the enemy does this, the devil does this, Satan does that, whatever, that becomes part of your reality. Many years ago, we left that whole doctrine, religion, church, and all of that. In our household, we say nothing about no devil, no Satan, none of that. As a result, we don't have those situations. We don't have those, whether it's nightmares or if something happens, if something happens, it's just life. You just figure it out and take care of it. But the more you feed that thought process, that's what you will have. You'll be constantly fighting battles and going through a test and having a trial, and you label those, oh, it's a test, it's a trial. What is that? Where does that come from? And what happens? It keeps you bound. It keeps you in a place where you can't, it keeps you on that hamster wheel. Why? Because in your mind, you have acknowledged that it's a trial. It's a trial. It's a test. Therefore, I'm going to wait until it's over. People say, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm the damn tunnel. It's not there. There's no light. You walk your path day in and day out. And when there's situations that come up, your mind, we think of, how do I solve this? How do I resolve this situation? It's you. And your heart is not wicked. Your heart is not deceitful. And when we are taught to, deny ourselves, the frustration that brings. Deny ourselves. To deny ourselves. That is so wicked. Deny yourself. What does that mean? The things that you want, the things that you desire, the things that and that's why it puts us in a limited thinking. We don't think that we deserve it. So those things that we want, they don't have a place to land. Why? Because you have shut the door as undeserving. You don't deserve it, so they don't have a place to land. And we're always believing and hoping and believing and hoping that, I know tons of people that's been believing and hoping for a lot of stuff. More money, healing, a partner, a child, relationships, a job, believing and hoping and believing and hoping and not acknowledging that they are able to. You are well able to set your course. But it starts again with your mindset, with your belief system, and your belief system creates your reality. Your belief system creates your reality. And again, your belief system is yours. It is uniquely yours. It's not collective. Because if I ask, even with indoctrination, we may say something, you may hear the same doctrine, but it's interpreted so many different ways. That's why you have over 45,000 Christian denominations? Think of it. Somewhere up there, 45,000 different Christian denominations. Why? Because it's all subject to people's interpretation. And you can go here and they allow that. You can go there, they allow that. And no one can come to, no one can come together in harmony because they have different doctrines, different belief systems. And I know pastors that have changed belief systems. So that tells you right there. They used to belong to a certain Christian sect, and they changed that up. So you wonder, well, what do you mean you changed that up? Oh, did you come into an understanding that is not the truth? Or is it not your truth? What made... If your leader can do it and has done it, because I know we had pastors that belong to a certain religious sect. You can't cut your hair, you can't, a whole bunch of can't do. And they left that sect. Why? Because it's a belief system imposed by man. So somebody says, okay, it's not church, it's not religion, it's a relationship with God. Let me tell you something. It's the same thing. You know why? Because the only God you're going to think about is the God that's been introduced to you by your religion. So there's no way getting away from it. It's the only God that you know. And you are still going to be guided by the doctrine. This is a radical, when you make up your mind to self-discover, to discover your true identity, it is no joke, my friend. It is no joke. To discover your true identity, you have to go back to the child in you before all that stuff was indoctrinated, conditioned, and programmed into your mind. You have to do a wash. And most people don't do it. Why? Because they're afraid. Somebody said to me when I was in the onset of my journey, they said to me, she said, I rather go with this and then realize that it's not true than to not go with it and then realize it was true. So, there's just a conflict right there. That's why you have to know for yourself. What I know is not something that I even discussed with my husband. Fortunately, we have an opportunity to converse, to chat, to dialogue, but it's not like external input. No, it has to come from within. And once you realize the power within you, the dynamic, the magnificence of your divine nature, once you discover that of you, you become a realist. You become a realist. You come to realize, you come to find out the truth of you. You come to find out the truth of you, the truth of yourself. Conflict is over. I talk to people every day, and some people are just not budging from that place, and you can hear it in their rhetoric, their dialogue. They talk about is the word, what the word said. What those people are not. But you can look at their lives also, and you can say, now I can understand. You can understand. If you have removed yourself and you are walking in certain in your truth, and you look around, then you can see why certain people have that kind of life. Because if you're governed by a certain belief system, it shows. And sometimes we don't even see things. People live in so much conflict, so much secrecy. They do things, but they say something else. One person has a thing of saying, to trust, to trust the word, to trust God and so forth. But at the same time, they don't even realize that they are not trusting themselves, because when they come up to a situation where they need, some kind of urgent help, they're not waiting and saying, I'm going to just wait. And no, they are calling upon their, friends that they can call on to help them solve things. Anyway, they're calling upon external situations out of desperation. Not because they're sure, but out of desperation, out of desperation. People like that. They say one thing, but they live a different life. They say one, they they say one thing, but then they live a different life. And so they're going around. But these people, Folks like those are folks that are, uh, embedded in their doctrine, and they're not going to move. And that is okay. That is okay for them. But for you that want to live, that want to loosen up a little bit. I was talking to my sister over the weekend, and I'm just so happy for her because she's living her best life ever in her entire life. She is living this moment. She's living her best life, and just gives me so much joy because she deserves it. And we were talking about we were talking about belief systems and things of that nature. Well, not really belief system, but the way people think. And then we got into that, and I said, well, I have a very liberal view about things, and the way we conduct our lives, it's in a way that works for us, and it gives us the freedom to be and to go wherever we want, and to chat with the people that we, are comfortable with, and to just be ourselves. And I was telling her how wonderful my husband is, and I said to her, I said, I said years ago when I met him, I said, if I wasn't smart, I was not even, I was still in religion with all the doctrine and all the programming and conditioning and mental, all of that in me. This struggle, this wrestling, trial and test and all of that battle, that was part of my life. That's what I knew. But it's interesting. And I don't, none that I go back and I look, when I met my husband, what I was attracted to was his character. I was attracted to the things, the attributes of him. He was like such a cool guy. He was my type of man. And for some reason, after because he made a first move, toward me. And I was a little slow. But once I discovered that my heart was leaning toward his, that's it. All that, because, my husband, he was not part of my circle. He was not part of my camp, my religious camp. And, if you go outside of that, then you become unequally yoked. At least that's the way it was taught. So everyone, I was single at the time, and everyone expected me to meet and marry someone from within the camp. And I was career driven. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was, into my career, and I was just doing that. But when I met him, he drank. I came to find out that he drank. You have a beer, have a glass of wine. He didn't do it in front of me, but I realized that was part of his. That was part of his thing. My husband, he grew up as an Episcopal. As they say, whenever you see 2 or 3 Episcopalians around, there's always a 5th coming up. That's kind of like a joke. A 5th, And so that was like, to me, that was like a big thing. He drank. Well, he didn't do it around me. And, the point is, I saw him, but his character, the way he conducted himself, and everything was in order. His finances, his life, he didn't have any baggage. He had no baggage. None. And I was attracted to that. And it's interesting that I for some reason, I don't even know. This about being unequally yoked, this did not even, I didn't care. I didn't care. So, we dated. We dated a couple of years, and then we got married. And then at that point, then you know, we started going to church. The first year of our marriage, we stayed out of church for a year. And then I'm the one that said, we need to go to church. And he was okay with it, but he never really bought into any of this kind of teaching. He just didn't. Again, he has a mind of his own. He is a man's man. He's got a mind of his own, and he can, he's not easily swayed. He's not easily persuaded. He's not easily, influenced, by me. When I say let's go, he's let's go. And as a matter of fact, when we talk about it now, he says that's what love does. He said I went because of you. We can go together. But when he decided, after I don't know how many years, when he said that's it, he said that's it. I'm done. I am done. And he's such a great guy that even though he said that, it was like flagging me. It was flagging me, like letting me know that this is it. I want to live. I want to be able to live and to have fun and to enjoy life and to just not have all this burden and Sunday afternoon just sitting in church for so many hours and just no, he wanted to live. He wanted a life. He wanted to do stuff, travel and go to concerts and go dancing and go on a cruise and go, just do stuff, not just going, but to really be. And ever since we, after a couple months or whatever, I got it. It's like, no, we're done. And then we left. And that's been 15 years, 15 amazing years. So there's no conflict. And again, many of you are saying that your religious belief does not support your desire, the way you want to live. The desires that you have, the way you want to live. Why is that? When you're supposed to be free, but you see, it's knowing the truth that makes you free. And it's your truth. Because, what I tell you, that's not going to work for you. What's going to work for you is what you discover about yourself. Is what you discover about yourself. And if you find that you're being triggered by something, if you're being triggered, even now that I'm speaking to you, then you need to figure out what is it that's triggering you. You've got to find out, what is it? What is it? Why do I feel this way? What are the thoughts that I'm entertaining that's making me feel this way? Why do I not feel free, guiltless, and shameless, and no judgment, no condemnation, none of that, no kind of thing, about sin? Those are all social construct. Sin, what's sin? What is sin? We put a label on everything. What is sin? But it's strong, because I know when I was in that whole circle, that was strong. I used to think that way. I used to think I'm going through a trial, I'm going through a test, I'm going through a battle. None of that. I have not had that in 15 years. None of that. And our needs and our wants are met. You have the same opportunity, my friend. You have the same opportunity for your needs to be met, for the things that you want, the things you desire, the way you want to live, to be able to live without guilt, without shame, without condemnation, without judgment. You want to be able to live your life and enjoy it without feeling some kind of way that you will be punished, because that's the whole thing with people. They feel that they will be punished to either in this life or eternal damnation. All these eternal damnation. I had to discover the truth of all that doctrine. It's religious doctrine imposed by men to control the social structure. Go and look it up. Go look it up to find out who put all of that together. Go look it up. And then when you start asking all these questions, when you start asking questions like, there's a part that says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy strength. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Now, if you really break it down, if you love the Lord, your God, with all of your heart, what do you have left? What do you have left? Remember, with all of your heart, all your soul, all your strength, what do you have left? And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Do you see why it's hard to love thy neighbor? Because you don't have anything left. Because it says, love the Lord with all of your heart and love thy neighbor as thyself. You have no love for self. There's none left. There is none left. There is none left for you. It says with all. If I get something and, get some, whatever, a bag of nuts or whatever, and it says, give all of this to this person. What do you have left? You don't have anything left for yourself. Why do you think we don't, people have a hard time loving themselves? There's none left. And that gets in your mind and you can't figure out why. Why can't I love myself? Why can't I take care of myself? Why can't I appreciate myself? Why can I honor myself? Why do I not know my worth? Why do I not know my value? Why? Because you don't know who you are. And you are living a false identity. Your identity is on the inside waiting to be discovered. And unless you discover it, you will always be living a false identity. An identity that's been imposed upon you. You don't know who you are. You can't love yourself. Why? There is no love. All the love. That's why, people, a lot of people that I know that are religious people, they take credit for nothing. They take credit for absolutely nothing. Anything that happens, they attribute it to a deity, to their God. They attribute it to God. They would say, well, I did this. No. As a matter of fact, there is an element of fear to share, to say, like, well, I did this and I did that, and I this is my gift, or this is my talent, these are my skills, my expertise. If they're yours, they're yours. Why be afraid? And if you are afraid, it's because you're under the control of a belief system, a doctrinal belief system. Wherever there's fear, if you feel like you want to break out and do something, and if you feel some kind of way like fear, then know that you're being ruled by a false identity. Know that you're being ruled by a religious doctrine. You're being ruled by something that's not the truth, because once you know the truth, once you know your truth, then there's a freedom that comes with that. A knowing and a freedom that comes with knowing who you are. But it's not supported by a limited belief system. To know who you are and to walk in that freedom, that boldness, to walk in that confidence will never be supported by a limiting religious belief system. Why? Because this over here is meant to control. It's designed to control you. To control you. Everything. From your finances to everything. Everything. Your thought process, your social life, the way you raise your kids, the way you interact with your spouse. They it's the truth. It will never support autonomy. It will never support you knowing who you are and walking in that freedom. People talk about tithe. My husband has never tithed in his life. That was almost a source of conflict in our relationship when we first started. But, I'm smart. And I knew enough not to push that button. So we both were making, good money, and I did. But as far as like 10%, he's like, no. My responsibility is my household. My responsibility is you and my household. He didn't understand that because he didn't grow up with that. He would give offerings, but 10% of our income, that'll never be. That never happened. That just never happened. And we have lived, an amazing life. With, provision and being able to do the things that we want to do. We have had an amazing life. So all this fear about how does it go? Robbing God, or he will, you're cursed with a curse. There's no truth to that. If you believe it, then that will become your reality. But by the same token, for those of you that do tithe, then you should have the windows of heaven open to receive a blessing where there is no room for any more, so that you can give the extras away. And if that's not happening to you, there's your proof. There's your proof. You need to measure that. You need to measure all of that. Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength. Once you do that, and I know people that, because I used to be there as well. That used to be me. That used to be me. Thank goodness it's no longer that way. Because once you have that mindset, you have nothing else. And I don't, people say, well, I know who I am. Well, but I used to think that way also, not realizing that I was living a false identity. I shared in one of my shows where, I spent many years in corporate America, and I really never made any friends. There's some people that I was close to, but I never, well, number one, I sometimes purposely kind of kept my personal life separate from my business life. It just works better that way. But even if I didn't, I remember there was this girl, fun gal. She was not religious at all. This was when I was in corporate America. And she liked me a lot. We were colleagues, but we got along real good. And one day we were at the office real late, and her husband was part of what's called a cigar bar. They had drinks and appetizers, and they had a cigar bar. It was brand new in an upscale area over here of town. And they were part owners of that and so forth. So after work, she invited a few of us, she and myself, and another gal, and about 2 or 3 other managers. We were like 6 of us. There were 5, and she insisted that I join them. Well, that was years ago, and I was Was I? Yeah, I was married then, but I mean, that just was so, that lifestyle was not supported by the belief system I held at the time. And she's like, come on, Cynthia. I'm like, no, no, I don't. I said, but I don't drink. She said, well, they have Coke or whatever. And she just wanted me to come, number one, to see the place and to experience that. For her, it was a big deal because it was like a nice upscale cigar bar. But it was like it wasn't a club to dance. People that were there, they were having a glass of wine, drinking, and then they had in the back what they call a cigar bar. And if you smoke a cigar, that's where you would go and hang out. And and she talked me, and she said, you don't have to do anything. I just want you to come to see whatever. She was proud of her husband's accomplishment, to be part owner of this cigar bar. So I went, and I'm telling you, oh gosh, I felt so uncomfortable. I went there, and it was dark. It was a beautiful establishment, but at that time I didn't really have the critique, the eyes to appreciate what, that lifestyle, because that was not my lifestyle. But I went in there, and she made sure that they brought me some Coke. Well, she asked me again, do you want, can I get you a glass of wine? I'm like, no. She said, well, I'll get you some Coke. So I got some Coke, and I stood around with my glass of Coke, and all of them there, and they were just talking. They were having a good time. I felt so out of place. Why? My belief system did not support that lifestyle. Now, shoot. Now I would just go there, have a glass of wine, have some aperitif. Yeah, I don't smoke cigar, neither my husband and I, but that would mean nothing to me. That would be just hanging out at a nice place and enjoying a glass of wine or a cocktail or whatever it is. But at that time, so I felt so guilty. So I called my husband. I said, I'm here with Boo. Bo was her name. Her name was something else, but that was her nickname, Bo. And and whatever. And he's like, really? So I'm like, I'll be home shortly and so forth. So, and this was like at 11 o'clock at night and so forth. So after a while, I think I was here for like an hour, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to, scoot because of whatever. I don't remember what I told her, but I left. But I felt so out of place. Not only that, so guilty, so dirty, so judged. I self-judged myself. Imagine that mental. And while I was there, do you think I enjoyed it? Not 1 second. Not 1 second. And there was nothing that was going on that was out of this world or something, somebody hurting someone. No. As a matter of fact, they were there in that big room, and it was closed off with glass, you could see through, and beautiful cigar bar. And then out here in the open other place, it's dark, the bar, and people, and then there were some tables and people sitting, and just it was just nothing. It was just people having a good time. I could not enjoy it. My whole belief system did not support that, and I missed out. Don't worry, I've made up for it. I mean, we have really enjoyed life and that, and think nothing of it. But I remember when I said, Boo, look, I'm gonna have to scoot because whatever. And she says, oh, please stay another, stay a little bit more. And I left, But I did not even allow myself to enjoy the company of Bo and my other colleagues. They really wanted me to be there because we worked so well together, and it's something that we never really get to do because our schedules are so all the time different. And but we got that time to go together, and everybody was having a good time, laughing, and she was telling us about the decor, and it was just so much fun. But I was not able to enjoy the moment that I was there. Why? Because my mind was so wrapped up into this dogma, this belief system that did not allow me to live. Mind you, I would have wanted to be, to be able to enjoy it, but I couldn't. Why? Because I was locked up, limiting beliefs. So this whole identity, imagine now that I am, have learned the essence of who I am, and I can go there and, let those people be themselves and me be myself and enjoy a glass of wine and, good conversation with my partner, friend, husband, whomever, and that's it. But I judge the environment, and then I judge myself. I judge the environment as, not good enough. Again, it was not supported by my doctrinal belief system. My friend, that will not happen to me again, because I'm not involved in any kind of religious anything. And I'm just saying to you, whatever life it is that you desire, you want different things. That's why you are uniquely you. You are uniquely you. Totally different from the person I am. You are uniquely you. So you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to get off the hamster wheel. You're going to have to get off the hamster wheel. You're going to have to get off the hamster wheel. And you're going to have to unlearn all the stuff and question everything. Lean not onto your own understanding. Why? Now, if that works for you, then you just go right ahead. But if you have questions and anything that is triggered by fear, then you know it's not the real deal. Because when you are free, there is no fear. There's no fear of punishment, of hurting someone, there's no fear of anything. You have no fear. I wish you that, my friend. No fear. A life of no fear. Zero fear. And with that, my friend, I'm going to leave you with that so that you can start checking things out and checking every single thing, trying to understand how all this works. And that statement that I made earlier about, in the Bible about, people that have ancestry that were subject to slavery and so forth, I would question, how is that condoned? That would be like one of my biggest questions. How is that condoned? That, to me, is just wicked. I would have nothing to do with whoever inspired those words or that whole thing. None of it. Whether you were the subject or whether you were the perpetrator, regardless, it's no bueno. Check things out yourself and start looking for different things so that you can come into the truth of who you are. And with that, I'm going to say, every Thursday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we have a date here. If you can't meet our date, you can check out our show 24/7 on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and so forth. See the icons on the bottom over here? And if you need to touch base with me, you can reach me at info@thecynthialinoxshow.com and shoot me an email, whatever it is that you may want me to know, or share with me, excuse me, you can always get in touch with me again at info@thecynthialinoxshow.com, and I will respond to you. I am also a certified transformational life coach. If you need help, guidance, assistance, just encouragement, motivation, inspiration, whatever it is to navigate through your journey, you can always get in touch with me again at info@thecynthialinoxshow.com, and we will have a short complimentary chat to see if we're a good match, and I will be here to help you navigate this journey successfully, effectively, so that it works for you. In the meantime, I'm going to say ta-ta. Have a fantastic weekend, whatever you do. Of course, there's still Friday to go through. But the weekend, enjoy it to the fullest. And I will see you next week. Hasta luego, amigos. Pórtense bien. Ciao. Au revoir. Ta-ta.